I couldn't hear you guys that well.
Uh,
Ray, we took your course. Oh my gosh.
oh yeah, you do looked at it.
I took it 2.5
I didn't get through the whole
times.
thing. Huh?
Yeah,
You
thank
did
you.
2.5 times?
Yeah, well, that's because
Damn.
I listened to Skillshare courses while I play like games. So I was playing World of Warcraft and like listening to the course. And I was just like writing all the
Yeah.
keywords and all the things. I was like, I don't know what that word means. What is that? Oh yeah, okay, gotcha. So when I listen to courses that way, I don't absorb as much as if I'm watching it like and paying full attention. So that's why I do it like 2 or 3 times, because then I actually do absorb as much as just watching it once. And I usually do it on like double speed as well, because then it like just passes faster.
Cool.
By the
Okay.
way, I just started
So
the
you
live
need,
stream, so let me do the intro real quick. What's up, everybody?
yeah.
This is the another session of the weekly Mastermind group. Today it is meeting on Sunday because I was participating in this skate event yesterday, so I was busy. So we did it a day later, but typically this is a free to join meeting. Anybody can join. All you need to do is join the Discord channel. You can look in the description of this video or almost any of my YouTube videos on my channel to find a link to a Discord channel. You join this channel and it's like a text chat, right? And you will receive information about joining these calls. So if you want to just watch them, you're free to just watch them on YouTube, but you'll get a lot more benefit if you join the call and actively participate. We kind of are still playing with what we actually do with the call. Sometimes it's focused more on accountability, us establishing like things we're going to work on and then following through and talking about them the next week. Other times, like now, we're focusing on courses that we're taking as a group. But one of the things that I want this to be able to give to you guys is to get you experience just kind of talking on YouTube. Because really that's something that's really valuable, is being able to talk comfortably about a subject on video without feeling incredibly nervous and without feeling too scared or anything like that. But it can be really hard for us to get to that point, right? Me, as an individual, when I started making YouTube content, I was super nervous, like I was scared of the camera. I was super shy. Now it's the complete opposite. When I see a camera, it's like, boom, I feel this energy. It makes me awake. It's like easy, you know? But the only reason that I've become that way is through repetition over and over and over making videos. And so while we're trying to figure out exactly what the structure of this is, I do know that that is kind of one of the bigger values for you guys and anyone interested in joining, is that if you have interest in getting into YouTube, you really need to get more comfortable making YouTube videos. And nothing's stopping any of you from just joining this once a week. Imagine if you had done this 6 months ago. You would have been in a live stream showing your face talking once a week for 6 months. That's loads of experience, right? And that's something I think about a lot, is like what can be done on a regular basis that just kind of increases the skills necessary to do YouTube, right? So that's a quick intro. Again, if any of you want to join, you are welcome to. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to apply for anything. You literally just have to join the Discord chat and then show up and show your face and talk. And that's pretty much it. All right? So that being said, what's up, guys? Do you guys want to take a second to introduce yourselves? I know a lot of people watching these they already know who you are, but we kind of got to get in the habit of assuming some of the people watching are new or don't know what we're talking about, and you know, we need to break these things down for people.
True. Okay, well, I guess today's video is kind of about going over my course today and stuff, and I'm just my name's Braylon and stuff, and I just
Your name's
recently
Braylon and stuff.
and I just recently joined the coming onto the live stream every week, and I really enjoy it. And I mostly just come on here to learn how other people are overcoming their obstacles, and seems like there's a lot of people who are making income online that joins the live stream, so I definitely learn from them, and that's why I come here every week.
I would say you've been around more than a recent person. You're like you, Rita, and B,
And
and Ty. There's like 5 or 6 people who've shown their faces multiple times.
correct. Yep, I love it.
And so for those of you guys
Okay,
listening, Bray's course is about day trading, and that's kind of his thing. He also runs a YouTube channel about day trading. So we'll talk more about that later. But you didn't mention to them what your course was and that kind of thing. And that's another,
Okay.
anytime you're introducing yourself, like basically, if you're saying your name, and especially if you're trying to associate your name to something, you should always not just be like, oh, this is my course. It's like, hey, this is my name. I have a course about this. Just so people know, right? Go on,
Right.
Rita.
Okay.
shall I go next?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. My name's Rita, and I live in Southern California, and I have a dog care business, meaning I do dog walking and dog sitting. I've tried some other things online. Haven't quite found my niche, I don't think, but I might eventually start a YouTube channel about the life of a dog sitter. Just haven't got very far with it yet, but this is good practice. Like Jack said, this is good practice coming on here and just talking. And one of these days, I'm going to show my face. It's going to be really exciting. I've been actually looking at pictures that have been taken of me lately of myself, so I get used to seeing myself and not cringing too much. So that's my story.
And that part is hard, to be honest. Like, that's one of the reasons that being a YouTuber is something that I recommend to people so much. Because people are always like, oh, we can't do that. You're just different. You're more charismatic, yada, yada. And, like, for me, that wasn't the case. Now it's the case. But in the very beginning, I was scared and I was nervous about everything. I was super self-conscious about the way that I looked, having long hair, looking like a hippie, having red eyes. Everyone's like, oh my God, they're all going to know I'm stoned. They're going to judge me. All these things would go through my head, right? But the reality is you just got to put content out. That's all that matters. And the act of putting content out regularly over and over again makes you good at these things. And that's what's so cool about YouTube. It's not like other opportunities where like you have to get good at something you really don't care about or enjoy to earn money. With YouTube, if you use it right, you can make money doing things that you're actually interested in and you enjoy. And in some cases, you can make money off of the act of figuring that out, which is my YouTube channel is an example of that. Like when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know what it was going to become. I was working as a barista at Starbucks. And if you follow all the YouTube content, you can see the events that led to like having a life where, you know, there's still way more things I want to do and much more ambitious projects than I've ever done before, like the Spanish content website. But ultimately, like I transitioned out of that self-employed or that employed life as a barista at Starbucks into being my own person and being able to have multiple income streams and being okay losing big income streams, right? And YouTube played a critical role in all of this, even with a small channel. Like I know that for some people listening, like my channel, you may think it's big. It's like 18,000 or 19,000 subscribers, right? But relatively, YouTube had changed my life by like 2,000 subscribers. And there's a lot of ways that you can use YouTube to do some really, really amazing things. But anyway, we have another person. What's up, Dante?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Can you?
Yo.
Okay, how's it going?
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure to see another face.
Let me get some lighting. How about that? Okay. Let me get some lighting in here somewhere. There we go. How's it going?
Awesome, man. So what's going on with you? Tell us about yourself.
So my name is Dante. I am a e-commerce person as well. So that's why I decided to hop on. I was like, oh, you live. Let me see what's going on. And you just told me that you had a Discord. I didn't know it. So
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Discord's super useful. It's like the main way that I communicate with people about these calls.
Okay.
And that's another reason I started these calls is because I was relying on comments and emails to interact with my audience. But often I would feel quite insecure because a lot of like comments aren't an effective way to communicate with your YouTube audience. They skew your understanding of what your audience is like because it's very easy to misunderstand what people are saying in comments. A lot of comments made on YouTube channels, the commenter is not even expecting the YouTuber is actually going to read it, let alone respond it. So a lot of times people will post really negative stuff, and I'll be like, oh, that was mean. And then they're like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't think about it that way. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think you'd apologize, but that's cool, right? So it was problematic. I was having a lot of insecurities, and ultimately I found that having these conversations directly with people is so much more beneficial, because you just get to know people who are influenced by something you do. It's not like a superficial back and forth comment that's often quite defensive, and it's a much more deeper way to connect with people in the audience. So it's I think a really good policy as you have a YouTube channel. It's great to give the people who know about you or follow your YouTube channel a way to talk to you directly, where maybe they think they have to jump through hoops. Like in this case, you had to know what Discord is, you had to download it, and you have to maybe ask you for a password, and you have to look somewhere and see it, right? Like those are steps people won't be willing to take a lot of the time. But you followed through, you did it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to do. I was like, oh, Discord, boop, 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 boop. I'm on, okay. So,
So what kind of e-commerce stuff do you do?
I started off with well, I think we probably started off in the same boat a while ago. I'm not sure with DSD.
DS Domination.
Yeah.
Oh
in the
wow,
day.
yeah, that's old school. I was my time period was after DS Domination, but that was like one of the.
So I started off my e-commerce journey then, and obviously I took over with Amazon. That was my main thing with Amazon, and now I'm regrouping and doing eBay now and Amazon again,
And so,
and Shopify and a couple other different platforms.
Gotcha. So like mostly drop shipping stuff, right?
I drop ship on eBay, not Amazon.
Okay, on Amazon you do FBA or what exactly?
Yeah, FBA.
Okay, cool.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so for those of you guys listening, DS Domination, or DSD, stands for Drop Shipping Domination, was one of the, like, I'm not going to say the first necessarily, but it was one of the earlier entities to start sharing and selling drop shipping information that is now commonplace and all over the place, all over YouTube. In the past, it wasn't like that at all. It was like people who drop shipped were very kind of secretive because they were scared that if other people did it, that they would lose the opportunity. Which, to a point is true, but that led to people being very secretive. There was like drop shipping from these retailers has been around since retailers have existed, right? But information about it has really, really skyrocketed. Now there's loads of different courses, loads of different YouTube channels, loads of free information everywhere. Back when like drop shipping domination was a main thing, you didn't have these YouTubers who were just YouTube channels that drop shipped. Like that wasn't a thing, That's like a thing that is really common now. But back when I started doing that, it wasn't that common. There weren't that many people, and that's one of the reasons I was able to like get myself known. Despite I only earned like a couple $1,000s. I was doing reckless stuff, like wasting money in all sorts of situations. But because there wasn't that much other competition, it just goes to show that if you can find a niche and you're relatively new into something, you can get a name for yourself established just by fixing problems for people, creating videos that answer people's questions, and sharing information. It's really a really effective way to grow whatever it is you're working on. But it all boils down to how much competition you have. That part's really important.
Yeah.
So, Dante, Rita, Bray, and I, Bray made a course about day trading. And over the past week, Rita and I took the course. So we're going to talk about like what we learned about day trading. Which is like watching stocks and charts and that kind of thing. And then after that, we'll transition into like more of a course creation perspective, and I'll share some of the insights I have about Udemy and my experiences, and then talk about some of the common mistakes that I make in my course creation and that other people often make in the beginning. So I think a great place to start, Rita, would be for you to share how you feel about the course. What was your experience like? What was it like taking a course from someone you know? Isn't that weird? Like the person.
Yeah, that is kind of weird because, well, it's good. It's good because I know I'm probably just going to be able to ask a lot of questions, maybe, and and hopefully it'll be helpful to Bray too as he improves his course, because I know these are always a work in progress.
Oh yeah.
That kind of. So, my impression was that there's a lot I don't know, a ton of stuff I don't know, and I have dabbled in, not with day trading, but with just buying stocks and seeing what happens and stuff, and so I have some sort of somewhat, like I get the basic idea of it, but when it comes to these charts, I'm just wow, like the black screen is crazy to me, and like you said, it moves really fast, Bray, and I guess like the indexes that you use to determine what might be a good buy. I would like to know more about those, and I just feel like there's a ton of things I need to learn, and so I went pretty slow. And I looked up a lot of terms as I went along. And let's see. Yeah, I kind of skipped around a little bit. I didn't open up my account yet because I had this issue with I lost my debit card that I would want to use, and so I had to get a new one. I got that yesterday. So now I'll probably open a TD Ameritrade account, and I already have Robinhood. So so I basically, what's going to happen is I'm probably going to just keep working my way through it, and if I don't understand some words or things, I'll look them up, and that's my general impression.
Would you say there's any from the course so far? Is there a takeaway you have, or something you were like, oh, I need to pay attention to that? That sounds important. Is there a specific concept that you get what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Let's see, specific. Well, Bray's talked about this before, so I might be cheating a little, but talking about having a system for making your trades. Don't get emotional, don't get impatient, and just kind of be like a machine, and he did reiterate that in the course. So that's, I'm sure that's one of the hardest things about day trading, once you get the specifics down, once you get the mechanics of it down. But I am very interested in learning the mechanics of it. There's just so much to it. I mean, I would like to know, can we change the color? I mean, can I, on my end, on TD Ameritrade, can I change the color of the screen to a white background?
Yes, you can. Yep.
Okay, good. Then I will try to do that once I get signed up, because that black screen makes me crazy. I don't know why. It just bugs me.
Okay, yeah, and I'll definitely tell you how to do that too. And you don't need a debit card to open an account with TD Ameritrade.
Well, how do you put the money into the account? Do you use just your routing number or something?
Well, you actually don't need to put money in TD Ameritrade unless you're going to use it to trade, but they typically use bank transfers, wire transfers.
And then also, Bray recommends that you don't start off with money. Like, you start off doing it dry, and then you track and you get used to it. And then once you've made a few mistakes that way, then you start actually doing it with money. Because you're essentially until you're really comfortable with it, you shouldn't be spending money. You should be learning without spending money if possible.
But I want to. It seems really exciting, maybe getting money or losing money. It sounds like an awesome roller coaster ride.
It's way less exciting if there's nothing to lose.
You don't have a lot of money, especially when you don't have a lot of money. Wow, what a thrill!
You're too funny. Oh man,
I'm only half serious. But there is something to that. But yeah, I'll be good, and I'll just.
You are being real. You are telling exactly what's going through a lot of people's mind. The whole excitement of getting
boring.
Yeah, right. Get 15%. gain in, a couple minutes. It's like, okay, I see the possibility. All I gotta do is push a couple buttons.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is an awful low when you lose money, I'm sure. Ooh, baby. I've never lost
Yes.
money at anything really yet. Not really. And when I played the stock market, when I did the stock market before, not day trading, just regular, I kind of broke even. Some of my stocks did good and some did bad, and I didn't watch them all the time. I was just doing long term, and I was just experimenting. I didn't lose any money, so it's but I mean, with eBay, I have a horrible feeling when I bought something and then like maybe in a year the thing's not worth anything and nobody's bought it. Like the prices fell a lot this last year, I think, on a lot of things because the market got saturated on a lot of items, and I know that feeling. That's a losing feeling, and I don't like that feeling. So I better not toy around with hundreds of dollars. I'm going to be really depressed.
True.
Thank you.
Now,
you guys are right.
now, did that feeling when you you realize you made the mistake? Did that like kind of stop you from buying other items?
Well, let's just say I haven't. I put my eBay store on vacation about 2 weeks before Christmas, and I never turned it back on.
Rita doesn't like eBay.
I don't know. I don't know. Something about it. I don't know. I just think eBay, I'm not saying they hide your stuff, but if you're not they are honest about that. If you're not regularly listing, almost daily or whatever, your stuff doesn't get seen as much. And then there's a lot of these tricks you have to play, to make it look like it's brand new and this and that. And I just don't play that game. I don't.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I'm saying. By the time it's said and done, I can make just as much dog walking, and with a lot less complexity. It's the complexity. I just don't want it. I know that people who embrace complexity, sometimes they make a ton of money, but I don't think I don't personally see me being able to do that on eBay. If I'm going to have that much complexity in my life, I don't want eBay deciding what gets seen and what doesn't and all that crap. It's just
you also just
I don't know.
didn't enjoy eBay. Even when you would get a sale, you wouldn't think, "Oh, nice, that's awesome." You would think, "Eh." It really just seemed like something you just were doing.
It's an emotional problem I have. Once I've decided I don't like something, then I'll hate the whole thing, the whole process. It's bad. It's actually very immature. I recognize that. Because I was the same way with another thing I did for a few years. And once I got a bad taste in my mouth, I just was like, screw this,
Yeah, I would like to say that eBay's frustrating, and it is understandable. If you were to try and find one thing that unites more people regarding eBay than anything else, it is complaining about eBay. They regularly do things that screw over their sellers. They don't really function as a company that really understands what it is very well. They make a lot of decisions that show that they're just catering towards people who hold stock in the company. And if you pay attention to the decisions they make as a business, they don't run very effectively at all. They're a great example of a company that got really big and became so established that it doesn't matter what they do. They can do whatever they want, and people are still going to use the platform, but it's not necessarily going to grow. And eBay has historically been declining, right? It's at one of the lowest peaks or lowest points of its usage that it's had in years and years and years and years. It isn't performing well as a company. And if you look
even though they've gone worldwide and have more,
no, that happened ages ago.
Than ever.
eBay has been the global marketplace for years and years and years and years. That's not a new thing. That's an old thing. And it hasn't really changed that much. There's still a global marketplace. But one of the problems is that, the company as an organization is making decisions to get more money out of its sellers instead of expanding to be more profitable, because it wants the shareholders to earn, they have a lot of say in this, right? And if you look at the notings and meetings and stuff, the company literally said, oh, well, we're not expanding, we're not growing, but we're going to get you more money by getting more money from our sellers. Like, they literally said that. Like, it's part of how they operate.
I heard Chris talking about that.
So don't beat yourself too much about going away from eBay towards something else. Like, eBay really, even to do it full time, like, it's a serious job. And at that point, like, why did you leave your job to have another full-time stressful job? Like, I agree. Maybe it's a bit better to have more control over it. Like, you're the one making the decisions. That's absolutely better. But at the same time, like, for me personally, I came into this lifestyle because it's realistic that I can work an hour or two a day for the rest of my life and have a lot of projects and have times where I work more, but spend my whole life focused on my family and my friends and the people around me and really enriching my environments. I can't do that being a full-time eBay seller. Like, no way. So I understand. I'm just saying, don't polarize yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much. Because I'm sure you're right. You got problems. You got to deal with your problems, Rita. I'm not saying you don't have any problems, but eBay's got a load of problems too. So don't just blame yourself. Blame yourself and eBay.
It just seems like it just, to me, but it's probably some kind of limited thinking on my part. It just seems like all the opportunities just vanish. Like the thing I was doing before, it didn't vanish, but it's very corrupt. I didn't know until I got into it. It had to do with real estate, and it's just, I was put in these weird positions, and so it's like, it just feels like everything I try, like a lot of things I don't even bother trying. I look at it, go, no, I'm not going to work. It just seems like a lot of just honest ways to make a living just seem to vanish, or get ruined somehow. Either some regulation comes along, or I'm sorry, it's very negative, but that's just how it feels. And so it's like, I can't keep jumping around,
Yeah, it's hard.
That's how it feels. I don't know.
That's why content creation is so important, because if you aren't creating content, you're essentially competing with everyone else online. The second you start making content regularly, you eliminate like 98% of your competition. And yeah, you can think, there's tons of people making movies, tons of famous YouTube stars, tons of famous courses, all this stuff. But realistically, compared to the amount of people in the world and the amount of people trying to earn money online, or at least interested in it, it's tiny. And you want to be in the position where you can bring people traffic and you're forming an audience. That allows you to do anything you want. If you're always looking at kind of not anonymous ways to make money, but more like you're using other people's products, you're paying for ads or paying for services, this kind of work is always unstable. And there's so many different ways to go about it, but inevitably content creation is everything. And that doesn't just have to be a YouTube channel. It can even be like blogs. Like, I have limited thoughts about blogs. I view them as simple because in my head, you could make videos. Videos show so much more information than a blog, right? But the reality is there's plenty of people who make tens of thousands of dollars every month in profit just off of blogs about like their lifestyle and traveling or cooking or whatever. Like, blogging is huge, but my point here is content creation is how you kind of ascend past that work that keeps drying up and these opportunities that work for a bit but then ultimately fail. You really want to be creating some kind of content, because ultimately, even if what you're doing is trying all these opportunities that ultimately dry up and fail, that is content. Even if that's what you're doing, the act of pursuing all that is content. And like, Reyes is a great example of this. Reyes, the entrepreneur, he does this with his YouTube channel, except he only does physical things, right? From my perspective, the stuff he does, I'm like, I wouldn't do almost any of it because it's all physical. None of it has a digital product that can replicate, right? So it's hard to scale, right? But that being said, it's super interesting. And most of the things he does lose him money. Like that his most famous video was from earning like $40 a month from something that cost him a couple $100 to set up, right? And that video made him profitable. But that's my point. Content creation is everything. It really is. But it's not a quick game. It's something you got to do for 2 to 4 years, really, before you're actually going to really start being affected by it. So, tricky.
Thank you.
So, I had a takeaway from the course to get back on talking about the day trading thing. And that was something Bray talked about in, I think it was one of the earlier lectures in the course. And it was about how if you're going to buy stock, and it, I think applies whether you're day trading or in any kind of trading, you don't just like get money and then go to the website and buy the stock you thought about. You like watch the stock to identify when it's in the lower point of its like price fluctuation, and at least when you think that's going to happen, and you purposefully wait for that to happen, and then you buy it. And that was a really interesting concept to me, because I would always think like, oh, well, you make the decision to buy it, and then you wait. But you actually wait before you buy it for a good opportunity to buy it, because you can anticipate that it may be this price now, but that doesn't mean that, like, maybe it's $10 right now, but if you looked, there's going to be an opportunity to get it for 8 or whatever, and you can anticipate that it's probably going to go up and down and watch it for a bit, right? And I didn't even think about that before, so that was really interesting. That was a big takeaway that I had. And then day trading's a lot of work watching stuff. I'm still, that's another like indirect takeaway I had from the course, because I'm fairly familiar with a lot of the terms, just because I've talked with Bray before, we've talked about them, and also I've done like research, and I researched into the terms like because of the course, right? And another takeaway I had is that you really have to get comfortable with the graphs. Like, you need to be able to see the graphs and not feel confused, and understand what every single part of it is, what a normal, like, the patterns are, and you need to spend a lot of time just watching them to get to that point. It's like really important, and that's something that was evident to me taking Bray's course, is that he's already at that point where he can just watch it and be like, oh, it's doing this, that's interesting, that's not interesting, that could be something. Like, he understands that, and he can see the scene unfolding in front of him, where I'm just like, what? Like, I have no idea what's happening, right? Even though I know these terms, I know like how to technically read a chart, but it's like reading music. Like, you can technically know that, okay, there's 5 lines and this is the note on each line. If it's in between, it's this. I know the difference between like the treble clef and the other one, the bass one, and that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that I feel comfortable reading music. You know, it takes a long time to really develop that skill. It's just like making YouTube content. You can make a video, but you may take 5 hours to create a 10-minute video because of all the time you're nervous and not thinking about uploading it and putting it off and procrastinating and editing and redoing it and feeling too critical, etc., etc. Whereas someone who's made loads and loads of video can make a 5-minute video in 5 minutes. You know, it's interesting because it's a specific monetizable skill that you can increase that leads to you being able to be more likely to day trade. And so that's something that I think might be worth talking about in the Udemy course, right? And now might be a good opportunity for us to start transitioning away from the day trading part, and then start talking more about course creation.
Course creation, okay. And yeah, and expand on that, Jack. For Rita, you know, if you're gonna really take some time out to learn how to trade, it is like a 2-year, 3-year commitment, you know, to you before you start really actually making some gains.
Wow. Scary. Commitment. I'm
Yes.
commitment phobic.
Oh, so you're not married? Okay.
No, I'm not there. No, I'm not married. That's true, but that's not the thing I was talking about.
Yeah, I
no,
know.
I just, wow, 2 to 3 years. That's a long time. Whew.
Yes. Yep, it does take a while because you got to get. It's all about experience. It is.
And I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, yeah, of course.
you kind of got to have that
Of course,
like
you have to. Go ahead,
excitement.
Jack. Sorry,
that-
Jack. Go ahead.
Like, you got to be interested in reading the charts and actively want to do that in order to get to the point where you, like, because if I think about YouTube, it's the same way, where you need to do it for a long time before you really start to get results from it. But I never thought like, oh, I got to stick with this for 2 years. Like, there was never a point in my YouTube career where I was like thinking about it that way. It was literally just like, I can make a video today. Oh, I'm feeling sad. I can make a video. It was like, it was a way for me to respond. And that's why I really encourage people to kind of be aware of what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy something, it is hard to do it for 2 or 3 years. But if you really enjoy something, you can accidentally do it for 2 or 3 years. And for me as a person, there's nothing I purposefully did for more than a year. Everything that I have consistently done for more than a couple years is accidental. It's like something I started as a habit and then it just kept going. It wasn't like I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for 2 years and then this is going to happen. None of that shit worked out that way. It was literally just like, life's better if every day I work on this for 5 minutes.
Very interesting. That's a good way for people to find out what they really want to be doing.
Well, I don't know, because like a lot of other people say the opposite. They're like, fuck that. You can't just do things you enjoy. You got to do market research and figure stuff out. So like, I understand both sides of the argument. I just, as an individual, I'm really bad, like horrible at making myself do things I don't want to do. Like, so bad to the point that I can only do things I don't want to do if I convince myself there's some reason that I need to do it. But I think a lot of other people, when you're working especially, you're kind of used to doing more things that you don't necessarily want to do. It's like a regular part of life. But when you're like fully self-employed, it becomes really easy to just only do things that, you know, you directly want to do, which is tricky. It sounds good.
Spoiled.
Yeah, but
We're
that's
spoiled.
yeah, exactly. Spoiled is a good word, very very relevant here. So first, I want to give some context. So Bray's course is on Skillshare, and I actually didn't. I probably knew that you had a course on Skillshare at some point, but we learned about Bray's course because in the previous one second, I'm going to mute you and talk to you, Bray. In the previous live stream. Rita and I were like, oh, we're going to find a course about day trading because Bray had been talking about it and shown us some stuff. And then the first course that we looked at was Bray's course. And so then we were like, oh, Bray has a course. So we took that, right? But I was kind of actually pretty surprised because personally, I don't really think of Skillshare as a good platform for instructors. And it's the only platform that Bray has a course on. So I was like, whoa, what? And he runs a YouTube channel. So he already does the hard parts, right? And so I thought that was really interesting. So Bray, could you talk a bit about your Skillshare course, when you created it, what led to you creating it, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so I really got the idea of even starting to, make a course about, what I was looking at and researching, just, watching Gary Vee and stuff. And he was always talking about documentation. So I was like, let me try that out. Let me put some information out there that, people usually ask me about and just make some videos on it. And so I started doing that. I just busted a whole bunch of videos out, and I was like, okay. And then I looked at Skillshare. I already knew about Skillshare. I was using that to look at other courses like WordPress and stuff. So I was like, well, let me upload it on Skillshare and try it out. So at first, I had it for a free course, just to try to get feedback from people and see if
That explains why you have so many students. I
yeah,
was really
yeah,
surprised, yeah.
But as soon as I got like 100, 150, I traded to the premium course.
Okay, so most of your students are from the premium one then, because you have
Yeah,
over 1,000 in that course.
yeah, and it's I think it's just coming mostly from searches on Skillshare.
Yeah,
And
if you search day trading on Skillshare, you're the first course.
yeah. So
Yeah, Bray, how did you manage that? How did you manage to become the #1 dude?
It's a competition thing.
yeah. I think Skillshare just noticed that I was posting into my class every day, and they kind of just boosted me up that way. That's the only thing I can think of.
You're one of the
Explain
few
it.
courses about day trading. Almost all the other courses are about stock trading in general. So
True.
That doesn't even make sense.
What
That
do you
doesn't
mean?
even make sense to me that they wouldn't do more, but it's good for you.
Yeah, no,
Right?
it's again, with a lot of this, it's not about the course. It's about the conditions and how many competitors there are in a given subject. That really, you're often better off making a course about something that isn't in demand but has no competition versus making a course that is very in demand but has loads of competition. One of the if you're interested in the world of self-employment and earning money online, and from the very beginning you always ask yourself this question: how can I put myself in a position where I have less competition? The chance of you succeeding goes up so much, because again, a lot of this isn't about quality or even about like regularity or any of that. It really is about how many other people are also offering the information. Quality becomes very important when you're trying to compete with people, but it's way easier to just not have to be competing with people. The trouble is finding scenarios and getting yourself into a position where you know a lot about a subject that a lot of other people don't have or aren't distributing on that platform. And so, like, sorry, go on. We got sidetracked. So you published the Skillshare course. You started it as free, and then you converted it to paid.
Yep, premium.
Okay.
And yeah, so ever since then, so I had the course for about a year and a half now, probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I just recently, kind of got some good traffic from like 150 students to, I would say, about 600 students. It was a pretty slow grind. That took about a year to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since then, it's been like a couple students a day are joining on and stuff. And some people are starting to comment and ask questions. And it's like, yes, it's going good.
Got some traction.
It's going good. Yes. And then, every once in a while, I'll do a little bit better on the video. So maybe more people will stay on to the course and actually tell somebody.
Yeah, I could tell looking at the course that that's what had happened, because like basically you can tell the part of the course that was created originally because the videos are longer. But then there's a couple videos towards the end that are more like specific. They're kind of, you can tell that they're formed in response to a question that someone asked you, or something like that happened, and you added a video to the course because you were like, oh, this is something people are confused about. Here's another video. And those are really like, that's like the core of what makes a course good, is that you understand the people who are taking the course and you understand the questions in their heads. And your course outline is literally just a list of those questions. Like, you really want the student to be like, oh man, that's cool, but I'm thinking this. And then you literally say what they're thinking. That's how you really develop a strong bond and get viewed as like a good teacher. Because people want to feel like it's simple. So you have to show them a way to view it as simple, right? And that's hard and tricky.
Yeah. Hard is the word.
So I thought it would be really a really good opportunity to talk about some common mistakes that like I saw in your course and also I've made in courses over and over again. And I've already talked about this stuff with Bray. But the one thing, if you're really interested in course creation, you have to make sure that each lesson is very short. Like, it's generally almost never worth having like a video that's more than 5 or 6 minutes. If you ever find that you have a video in a course that's like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you're probably actually talking about multiple subjects. And it's not that nobody will listen to longer videos, because people will. And like, say that your course teaches something really, really advanced, there is a place for like a 10 or 20 minute video further on in the course, especially if you're talking about a course that's like 12 hours in total, right? There are some subjects, and like if you need to like fully master Photoshop or something, that is an endeavor. It takes a long time. There are going to be points where you need to go more into detail for something. But in general, it's really important that you just identify specific concepts, and each video has a specific purpose. Because what you're going to find is that people generally have one takeaway from every video they watch. It doesn't matter if it's like really long or really short. And that takeaway could be, this video is long. Like literally, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you taught them in the video. And a lot of times with longer videos, people really will only hear 1 or 2 sentences in the video and actually incorporate it. And it often ends up kind of, I don't want to say wasting their time, but you don't make as many connections with people because they don't get as many feelings of like, oh, I learned this, and this, because they watched 6 lessons that each outlined exactly what concepts they were talking about. They're going to feel like they progressed way more than if they watched 1 hour-long video, even though they may actually be more content in the hour-long video. And that's something that's really important to think about. Like, the premise of a good course is simple. It's identifying all the necessary concepts that are relevant to the given context. Like in this case, day trading, there's loads of phrases and terminology and loads of different names that you have to understand and understand what they're referencing. The point of a good course is to list out all of these things and accurately define them in 2 to 5 minutes. So you can effectively make a course outline by thinking of it like a dictionary. You're like, all right, regarding drop shipping, what's every single concept that is related to drop shipping that I'm aware of? Okay, there's these 50 things, right? So now, 2 to 5 minute video for every single one of these concepts. That's an effective way to create courses. You really want to make sure that every lecture is very specific because people are going to have a hard time understanding. And as a course creator, you're often more aware and more informed than everybody else. So things are going to seem simple to you, but they're not to people who are brand new. They're incredibly confusing and complex, you know? And one thing that I think is very interesting about Bray's scenario is that he has a Skillshare course, which is arguably the least profitable platform to have a course on. And he runs a YouTube channel regularly about content relevant to it, right? So Bray, you've already done the hard parts of a situation where like a YouTuber has a monetized product. You just have your monetized product on Skillshare, which is an incredibly ineffective platform at monetizing. Unfortunately, it just is. Like, it's good that you have the Skillshare course because that develops your name. You're getting new leads. People are going to follow you on YouTube because they find you on Skillshare, and that's very useful. But from like a effectiveness perspective, Skillshare pays 5 cents per minute that someone watches your course. And that is very, very, very little. Like, if you imagine on Udemy, when someone purchases your course, it's typically going to sell for like $20. So you'll get between $5 and $10, right? So that's the equivalent of earning, let's say you just earned $5 per sale, right? $5 per sale, so that's 500 cents divided by 5. Yeah, so selling a course to one student on Udemy for like the minimum that the course will get you is the same as earning 100 watch minutes on Skillshare, right? And there are plenty of scenarios where you get more students or the course sells for more money. And in some cases, you can receive like $50, $60 for the course sale. Like, that does happen to me on Udemy. And in this case, that's getting 1,000 minutes of watch time, right? In one occurrence. The rates on Udemy, like based on the time spent, are much, much better. You get much more money out of it. So I'm really excited for your Udemy course, Bray. I think that's going to be like having your YouTube channel and having a Skillshare course. These will both increase like your kind of brand. More people will be aware of you because there's some people who just use YouTube, some people who just use Udemy, some people who just use Skillshare. So by having an existence on each of these platforms, you're going to really kind of maximize your growth. And Udemy is the most profitable one, specifically when you have a YouTube channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel, then arguably it could be kind of hard to get more money on Udemy. Skillshare might be a more viable option. But one, if you're not doing referrals, which is understandable because referrals increase the chance of getting banned, but it's also ludicrously good money. It makes it really hard to earn good money on Skillshare. Skillshare definitely is an amazing platform for like learning and finding other content and learning from other people. But as far as instructors go, it's better to view it like YouTube. It's a place that people can learn about your existence, but ultimately it's not really good for you to focus on Skillshare as the income. Again, they're also they're much more likely to ban you than Udemy is. Udemy has a strike system and almost always will listen to the strike system. You're not just going to wake up one day and not have your Udemy account anymore. It's really rare for that to happen. You usually have to do something. Whereas Skillshare, there are loads and loads and loads of examples of people's accounts just getting banned overnight, completely separate from their strike system. It really isn't, and that's what happened to me. It's what happened to Chris Lynn. Chris was able to use his YouTube like authority to get that re-invoked, but it's not. I would view it as risky to focus your time on Skillshare. That being said, you guys know what happened with me and Skillshare. I'm a bit biased about it, but I personally that was the most traumatic event of all of 2019, was definitely losing my Skillshare account. I had focused a whole quarter on Skillshare and I lost all of it. I learned a lot, don't get me wrong. I had a lot of YouTube content about it, but it really showed me, okay, I cannot be relying on these platforms. I have to set up something on my own website, that kind of thing. So anyway, I've ranted a bit too much here. I want to make sure you guys are still talking and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. You're breaking down all your experience and everything we need to be making sure we're doing when we're making these courses.
Are you going to go ahead and get on Udemy, Bryce?
He had already started one.
Almost. I'm still waiting on their freaking cover art. I knew it was going to take a while to do it.
Takes like a
That's
week.
why I was about to. Yeah. They say 3 to 4 days, but I knew it was going to take a while because they're busy. So I was going to order one on Fiverr, but then that's when Jack reached out and told me some good tips I need to do. So now I'm just focused on making some new videos and then re-upload it to Udemy.
Yeah, I guess so we can talk about some of those things. So there's this phrase, do as I say, not as I do. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. And in my position, I'm often in this case where like I have my own limitations, but I'm aware of the more effective way to do something. And with course creation, there's a couple things I want to share with you guys regarding creating the content for the courses. So the main thing we talked about already is that you really should focus on each lecture being 2 to 5 minutes. That's very important. One quick quality of life thing for you is don't reference other videos in your videos, because when you create your video, does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying by that? Like, don't say like, okay, in the next video, I'm going to talk to you about this.
Okay.
That's a habit a lot of people have, but you really want to avoid that, because the reality is when you record your videos, you're going to think that they're in the right order, but after some time, you're going to see there is a better order. And if you don't build in flexibility into the course, it doesn't allow you to switch everything around into a way that makes more sense for the person. So that's one thing, a little tip is to make sure that instead of saying like imagine that you're teaching someone how to cook an omelet, and it's like, okay, this is there's 3 videos: the ingredients section, the technique section, and then the actual like combining and the cooking time section, right? Just because, oh great, lost my train of thought. I'm super hungry, so I'm thinking about omelets now. Oh my god. What was I getting at? Order of your
the videos. Yep.
Oh yeah.
You said
Okay.
don't reference one video in another video.
Yeah. So imagine a scenario where you record the cooking video first, and then you say, okay, in the next video we're going to talk to you about the ingredients, and then after that you say, okay, in the next video we're going to talk to you about the techniques, right? Because you show the video quickly of what the cooking is, and then we're like, okay, now let's break that down. By the way that you communicated in those videos, you now have to edit the video if you change the order. So it's much better for you to just say see you in the next video. And you don't say anything about it because it doesn't actually aid the student to know, okay, we're going to talk about this in the next video, because the next video has an introduction that says exactly what you're going to talk about. It doesn't help them to show them 5 seconds before they see that introduction. So when you are referencing what is about to happen specifically, when you're saying the subject, like, okay, now we're going to move on to this, you kind of force yourself to keep the videos in the same order, which means that it's not going to be in the most effective order, because it's impossible to know the effective order until you've already created the course and worked with it. So that's another quality of life thing, is to make sure that you just say, like, see you in the next video, not see you in this when we talk about this, because it's just like, some people would argue that it helps, but in my experience, I've been more inconvenienced over and over again seeing, okay, it makes way more sense to people because they've told me it does if this video is first, but this is the 8th video, and I say, welcome to video number 8, which actually doesn't serve any instructive purpose. There's no benefit, and there's only a possible harm. So there's a lot of little things like this you can do in course creation. Another thing that I really, really recommend people do is to be in the habit of recording every single video 3 times and picking the best one. I know that seems really time intensive, especially if you're not used to recording content. But even if you put like 200 hours into a course, one of the glorious things about courses is that you don't have to keep doing that work. You do have to do some stuff to maintain it and to market it, of course. But the amount of time and effort you put into the course when you're making it is directly going to affect how easy it is to market later. And you may think that recording, like spending 3 times as much time making content for the course isn't worth it. But considering once that time is spent, it doesn't need to be spent anymore, it really is worth it. You're better off like putting more time into videos and like getting comfortable with it, if that makes sense. But it's really, you have to be really careful, because it's easy to become too critical and be recording and then just think it's all trash. So you have to find a balance, and that's why I really recommend you record 3 videos, you pick the best one. If you think they're all shitty, then you just pick one, you move on, and you record 3 videos of the next video. You really have to make sure that you're actually recording, because that's the part that is progressing. A lot of people start making courses, but then they never actually finish them, or they make them and then they rush it and they don't put that much time into it, and it does okay, but it could have done better if they had just taken an extra week or 2. Because really, if you take a month to make a course, what's taking 2 months? Really, like, I could have made 10 2-month courses in my life versus taking a month. I mean, I've been alive for 27 years, tons of time to have done that. You know, it really, if in the grand scheme of things, the amount of time you put into the course becomes less and less relevant as time passes. So you can think, oh yeah, it was a lot of work for 3 or 4 months, but the reality is over the next 3 or 4 years after that, that 3 or 4 month period becomes more and more and more effective, because you're earning more and more money based on that time that you spent. So it really is good to take your time, really make sure you know and you feel confident. That being said, again, sometimes this is do as I say, not as I do. I personally just spewed out loads and loads of courses, and that's how I learned. And now I understand that I need to be more specific. But I needed to create a bunch of content that wasn't done in that style to get to this point where I'm really confident. So for me, it was necessary, but I see how making a load of content kind of can get in the way of focusing on something that you know is a good opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about making 3 and then picking one, whether it's, even if they're all crappy. And I made like a couple back when I first started eBay, and my great idea was I want people to see what this is really like. So it's horrible. I did a picture of me walking up and down my storage unit, moving all my stuff into my storage unit. I mean, the most boring. It was so bad. But of course I erased it and got rid of it. But I don't know. I don't know what the takeaway is there, but I don't know. I think it's really hard to make good videos. I don't know.
It is, but you got to make videos.
I guess I guess it's part of the not showing your face thing actually makes it harder. I think that's a big part of it because I'm trying to find ways to hide myself, and then it's boring, you know.
Yeah, it makes it less interactive, and people also they connect with you more if they have a face to put to you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, there have been a few people. I've seen a couple of eBayers that have done it without. There was this one New York thrifter, and she did pretty good. You'd see her hands, you know, and she'd show the things she found and everything. But she was also very expert at what she did. You know, she was very, you know, she knew the clothing brands and things like that. But I'm sure it took her a lot longer doing it that way. But, you know, like you said, you keep making content, eventually it does start to stick, you know, and she got a reputation. And I'll still watch her. She's kind of slowed down on how many videos she would make, but if she pops out of, you know, once a month or once a quarter now, if I see her, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this because she's interesting. She's good, you know, and I've seen enough of them to, you know, to have that interest still.
So you've gone through that. That's another. Oh man, there's so many things to keep in mind. So whenever you have a course and you're selling it, right? You have a product, and in general, there's a metric you can think about that gets people to purchase a product that you have, and that's that they need to go through 7 interactions with you before they actually statistically are likely to engage with the product. Because if you don't have any interactions, like you have cold leads, then they're incredibly unlikely to engage in your product because they don't have any reference to you. And that's why a lot of these really predatory salespersons use intense emotional tactics, because the reality is whenever you're working with a cold lead, you have to pressure them to believe something else in order to be able to trust you. And for those of you guys who don't know the difference, a cold lead is a lead who doesn't know who you are, hasn't had any interactions with you, and you're trying to get them to buy something. A warm lead is somebody who either knows who you are, has some kind of connection to you, or has already indicated that they are interested in what you're trying to sell to. And ultimately, you want to be working with warm leads, because when you're working with cold leads, you alienate people and you get into this whole predatory world of convincing people to buy stuff that they don't really need it. It's always easier to work with people who are already interested. It can just be tricky finding these warm lead people. But the 7 interactions thing is something to keep in mind. And that's why it's really good, Bray, that you have Skillshare and soon Udemy and YouTube, because this increases the chance that someone's going to see you. They don't need to actually buy your product for it to count as an interaction, but 7 separate times they need to interact with something you did and associate it with you. So that means they need to know a name, whether it's your face or a company or something that they can peg it to, and they need to be involved in something and know that you are the person who made that thing happen, right? So you publishing a YouTube video, the person looking at that video, just clicking on it and viewing it for a second, that's an interaction. The person clicking on your Skillshare profile and seeing that you have students or seeing that you have courses, even if they don't do anything, that's another interaction. You want it to be as convenient as possible for people to rack up these interactions. And that's why having a presence on all these different places is helpful, because it increases the chance that, oh, someone's going to interact with you 2 or 3 times on YouTube, once on Skillshare, once on Udemy. At this point, that's 5 interactions. They're really close to the point where they become likely to engage in your product. So it's something to keep in mind, because effective marketing, especially of a course, it's not about convincing people to buy your course. That's a predatory technique used by people to convert cold leads. What it's about is getting people to be aware you have a course. That's all you have to do. Because if everybody knows you have a course, then the people who are interested are going to get it from you, because they know you have it and they're looking for somebody for something they're already interested in. But if they don't know you have a course, they don't know who you are, it's never going to happen. And that's what you really have to focus on, specifically with course marketing, is that it's not about convincing people to buy your course. It's about making sure people know you have a course and knowing what it's about. Like me, for example, most people know I have a dropshipping course because that's how they find out about me. They see dropshipping content on YouTube, despite the fact that I haven't been actively, well, I say that, but I do direct like work with people who are doing it still. And I'm actually really surprised by that. As a separate side note, I actually thought dropshipping was like dead because of account flagging and that shit. But now I've seen that plenty of accounts still dropship from like Amazon and Walmart and do it regularly for 6 months to a year before getting banned. Like, it totally still exists and it actually hasn't changed that much. It's just the public perception of it has changed, which is crazy to me. But anyway, that was a tangent. I think those are most of the main course tips.
Okay, I'll definitely implement those. That's good.
So
we got a new
Jack,
person.
Yeah, we got. Don't worry, I'm just Parasite. Hello, don't worry, I'm just Parasite.
I guess he's just listening in.
Yeah, I think that means they just wanted to be able to listen without being expected to talk. I don't know though.
Lurking. Well, speak up if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Jack, do you think so? With drop shipping, I think when drop shipping was first going on, I don't know if what's its name existed yet. That Chinese thing. I can't remember the name of it right now. You know, where everybody gets their products now.
Alibaba, AliExpress.
Yeah, I mean, if it existed, it was very small and not everybody knew about it. And you know what I mean? That's kind of a semi-recent development, isn't it, Alibaba? Like, I feel like drop shipping was around, but quite a while before Alibaba was around. Is that not true, or?
No, well, drop shipping's really diverse. Like when most people talk about drop shipping, they're talking about retail arbitrage drop shipping. You know,
okay.
Alibaba is a retailer, sort of. So Alibaba is basically a retail version of AliExpress is basically a retail version of Alibaba. Alibaba is like one of the biggest marketplaces to get like wholesale amounts of goods from China. And AliExpress is a way for you to order like 1 or 2 items at a time instead of having to order 10,000 or whatever. But I wouldn't say that's accurate. Also, AliExpress is just one of the places that dropshippers use, and that's like a kind of different style of dropshipping because you have long shipping times. And I can't tell you exactly about the dates.
I don't know much about dropshipping. I don't really want to know too much, but but I didn't know. I kind of thought everybody was doing AliExpress. Not AliExpress, Alibaba or something.
Tons of different places. There are a lot of people who do that, but a lot like these dropshipping from retailers like Walmart and Amazon and Home Depot. That's super common. A lot of people do it, and basically, it has been done for a long time now, like at least 10 years. Okay. It's definitely much more common now because there's more information about it. But the point I was trying to make earlier is that the reality of dropshipping is that it's pretty much always a thing. And there's a political circumstance every year about dropshipping that alters people's perceptions of it as an opportunity. And regarding retail arbitrage, I was tricked by that political perception. I actually did think that dropshipping wasn't as viable, that eBay was really catching on and was banning dropshippers right and left, and it was hard to not be caught. But it's just not true. It's really, if you're relying on one account, yeah, it's hard to not get caught. Eventually, you're going to get fucked. But if you have 10 or 20 accounts and they're all isolated, you can still dropship. You can dropship directly from Amazon and just keep doing that and make sales. Definitely. And I know that because the company I'm consulting with does it. Like, my job is to find them accounts. And so now we've set up with multiple accounts. And, like, I see, like, okay, even if one goes down, there's another account. It's like, it's different. It's kind of cool. But at the same time, it's frustrating just because, like, dropshipping is an interesting opportunity, but that its rate of success with people is so incredibly low because it appeals to a particular kind of make money fast, impatient mindset. And so like realistically, dropshipping is a viable opportunity to almost everybody if you're taking the approach of taking a year or two to actually understand it, and again, get involved, have multiple accounts, know how to keep everything separated, know how to create multiple different US businesses, deal with all the logistics of this. It's just like what we were talking about earlier. Like if you want to get into day trading and get comfortable, 2 or 3 years.
I was just going to say that. Right? There's that 2-year thing again.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
true. Of course, if you're going to make money, it's going to take time to learn it.
Yeah, if you're talking about actively being able to do it effectively. But with dropshipping, so few people are interested in that. They just like, oh no, I want to post the money. Like, and I get that because it's exciting. You can post a bunch of listings right now. You can start getting sales straight away. But that's the recurring theme, is that like, I cannot teach people who are just trying to be temporary, like, and make money now, because I know it's so unlikely they're going to succeed. Even if I gave them all the answers, they don't have the right reasons. It's not going to work. Whereas someone who has more patience and really is invested in a long-term way, they can make essentially anything work because they have the right mentality, and they will learn and learn and learn, and eventually they will get what they want. Whereas these people who are just trying to make a bunch of money really quickly, they're just so much less likely to exceed because they are competing with everybody. Right? They are competing with all the other impatient people in the world, which is most people. So it's super, super complicated.
No, I get it. I mean, it really does take at least 2-3 years to get good at something, at least. And that's like dog stuff now. When I first started dog walking, I really didn't even know that much about dogs at all. I had this image in my mind that I'd be walking like 6 dogs and they'd be snarling and snapping at each other. And I was just like, okay, I'll just do it because I don't know, I'll just pretend Jack already knows this, but, I would just burn out on corporate life and sitting at a desk and all that. And I'm like, I'll do anything. So if I have to deal with these snarling, snapping dogs, maybe they're going to bite me and all this stuff, I'm like, fine, I can do anything for a half hour, but it wasn't like that at all. So I didn't know anything. And, now it's like just second nature. I can handle a lot of things that would have scared me before. I mean, I had a dog growling at me the other day, and I just, in most cases, he'd already met me before and liked me, and so I knew he was just tripping, whatever. And so I was able to handle that situation, and it's just like it's nothing to me now. It's no big deal, but it does take that time to get experience, and just like day trading, when Bray's been doing it for a while, everything's going to come more naturally. It's just going to be second nature.
I think
so that's
Bray,
the experience.
He's already at that point. It's just that he it's like me. We know the do as I say, not as I do thing. Like, what you need to do. You have a clear concept of what you need to do to be more profitable, but you as a person aren't quite there yet. Like just with time and more diligence, important.
Yeah. How long have you been in doing the day trading, Bray?
Yeah, about 3 years. 3 years, and
oh, wow.
Only been doing it. Only been learning how to do it the right way for like 2 years. So I got a lot of bad baggage. Trying to learn myself the first year.
Oh man! So how did you take some new courses or something to learn the right way to do things? I know you mentioned one guy that deals with the psychology quite a bit. Was that the pivotal course that helped you to change and get more effective?
That's helping me. That's helping me to change. But the big pivotal point was finding someone on Facebook, and he's got a little private group that he has on there with a couple of us traders, and he's just breaking down the system, that I try to play out in the course.
Okay, that's great.
So once you learn the system, just like anything else, once you learn the system, then it just comes with repetition, doing the same system over and over, doing it exactly right.
Right. This system, everything's a system. eBay is a system, all these things. Jack's what he's telling us about, content creation. Just learn the system and just don't get too. You can break the rules eventually, but you have to, I think, do it the kind of the system way first, and then you can veer off from time to time when you get good at it. I always want to break the rules right away. That's my problem, and that's the thing. That's the emotional thing that you shouldn't do, because that's when you get into trouble. Like wanting to throw $500 into the day trading,
balance.
like.
You need to balance that, because it's still valuable. Like, okay, for example, there was a point earlier I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, I want to renovate the kitchen. I want to change the countertop and make it look better. And then my friend who used to live here was like, oh, but aren't you going to like talk to the landlord? And I was like, come on, Mitchell. Like, sometimes you don't ask permission, you ask for forgiveness, and like that very much is, because with this particular individual, that's a recurring theme in her life, where she won't fix or improve something because she's scared of not having permission to do it yet. And it holds her back in a lot of ways. So, like, I understand what you're saying about, like, you're viewing that part of yourself as wanting to break the rules straight away as, like, something you need to correct and fix. But also understand that it is something that you can use to have a strength. It's just a balance. Again, like with eBay, you can't just blame eBay, but you also can't just blame yourself. You have to understand that it's a bit of everything, right?
Yeah, it's not always black and white. I have very black and white thinking. Like, yeah, I know.
Life is
I'm
varying
that,
shades of gray.
It really is. It really is. I'm being quiet so other people can talk.
I think Ray said something, but he was muted.
There's no comments on YouTube or anything?
No, there's actually not very many people today, because it's oh, now there are. Now there's 11. Now it's more normal. Typically there's like between 8 and 12 people watching us. But for the beginning of this part, it was 4. Now we're at 11, so that's pretty normal.
Good.
Yeah, there's not really any there's only a couple comments, actually. Broing said, hey, Jack, no Rickrolls. Thank you, Broing. I appreciate that.
Yes, we all do.
and then Amine said, hi, Rita. I don't really speak English. Thank you.
So, hi.
There you go. And then Harvey.
What's his name?
Amine.
Hi, Amine.
And then Harvey said, hi, just listening to you guys while I optimize my titles. Big fan of your videos, Jack. First time listening to Brain and Rita. Hope you're all well. And then I said hello. That's the extent of our YouTube comments today.
All right, that's all right. I love it. So they're taking the first step and making YouTube comments, and maybe another time they'll come on the call with us.
Yeah.
It happens.
So is there anything in particular? I can share some back-end stuff about a YouTube video I published recently that showed, it kind of confirmed a lot of things that I've learned about YouTube. So I could go into more detail about that. But I feel like I've been ranting a lot. So is there something you guys want to talk about or anything else?
No, I kind of like when you do the freestyle, unless Bray has something he wants to ask you.
No, I'm good. Yeah, let's hear about that back end information.
So to give some context, I published a video about 2 weeks ago that was about a video game called World of Warcraft. And this was the first time on my YouTube channel that I had done research about a niche, identified competitors, researched and watched competitors' videos, created my version of a product based on what these other competitors don't have, and put hours and hours into editing it, and published it with confidence, knowing it would get viewed, and that is actually happening, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with what my original YouTube audience wants. So I'm going to show you the analytics of this video, but it shows that when you produce the right kind of content, even if you don't have an audience, you can form one very quickly with a single video, okay?
Because of the keywords? Is it because of the keywords that you use? People find you?
Not just the keywords. Understanding the keywords is important, but that's just one aspect of the whole picture. So let me, okay, I need to go to share, and then we're going to share this page. Okay, you guys can see it's on the stock thing right now. This is actually
Smart people. Thank you guys so very much.
Oh, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yep, see it.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the video itself. All right, and I've barely published any videos at all, right? So this is the video. And if we go look at the analytics, I will break down what this graph means. Okay, so let's see. Do I need to make this bigger? Can you guys, oh, 1 second. Can you see this graph okay, everybody?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm on a phone, so I don't know. It's okay. You know, it looks fine right now.
Does it help if I make it bigger like that, or whatever? Okay, good enough. So basically, the first thing you need to understand is this gray region here. You guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
This gray area is the typical performance of all of my videos, averaged.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
And
so,
that blue is this new one?
Yeah, the blue is this specific video.
Oh my God.
So
wow.
What's really useful about having a channel like mine is I have a lot of data about like what a performing video is versus what an average video is. And essentially, you see how the gray, like this might be hard for you to see, Rita, but actually within the first like day, like up until this point, this video was underperforming.
Right.
Compared to the gray. Do you understand why that is?
Because it was brand new and nobody knew about it yet and it hadn't been indexed?
No, actually, because almost all of these views were from YouTube search. The reason that it was less than the gray in the beginning is because it's completely irrelevant to my audience. When you publish a YouTube video, it's only your audience watching it in the very beginning, within the first like 12 hours or 24 hours. And you can see that's why this gray area here, well, actually, let's look at another example where you can see the gray area in more detail. Like I'll show you an average typical video on my YouTube channel. Basically, all of my videos will get 100 views within the first week. But the significant majority of them will then never get any more views. Okay, let's find one that's like probably a bad example. Here we go, this one probably. So now I'm looking at the analytics again. And there you can see, this is a much better example of the gray area. So now you see the gray area is much bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the same. It's just that relative to the performance of the video, this video did really bad. But you can still see that shape. You see how it has that, it tapers out like that? It's like a curve. That is how you know. You can know within the first 2 days whether a video will perform or not. It's immediately obvious simply based on the shape that this line takes. What you want, a good video has a line like this. It's consistent. It's almost a straight line. And this is within 12 days. So inevitably that will change. It will either taper up and become like viral, or it will taper down and die. But inevitably, this shape in the beginning means you have an average video that is not causing your channel to grow.
Oh, the curve is bad. Okay.
The curve is bad, but normal.
Not bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not as desirable.
The curve means it's just a normal video, and it indicates that your audience is who's watching the video. Because like I said, when you publish a video, an amount of your audience will watch it pretty much no matter what. Or they'll, maybe if they see it's completely unrelated to them based on the title, they're not even going to click it. But even in this case, an amount of my audience did actually watch the video. And that's why you can see a tiny little hump there. But it's so insignificant that it doesn't really play a role in it, right? And what's also interesting is this subscribers part here. So on almost all of my videos, I lose subscribers. And this is because I no longer dropship. And most of my followers come from 5 or 6 videos that regularly get thousands of views a week about dropshipping that I made 2 or 3 years ago. Okay? So my channel is constantly receiving people from these videos, and then they see I'm not dropshipping anymore. They watch a new video that isn't about dropshipping and then unsubscribe because it's no longer relevant to them. So it's normal for me to post a video and lose subscribers. Like this one, for example, -2. Almost all of my videos have -1, -2, -4, or something like that. And then a couple of my videos have like plus 2,500, okay? This video is interesting because at this point, within the first day, this number was -9. So it actually is trending to overcome the amount of people that it caused to leave my channel, and more people will join my channel. The thing is, this is a World of Warcraft video. There is no other World of Warcraft content on my channel, so it kind of puts itself to be in the situation of those dropshipping videos. The difference here is that in the end of this video, I'm like, hey, I teach people to make money online. If you want to play WoW and Alt-Tab and earn money in your computer, this is a lifestyle you can have. Follow my channel if you want to learn more about it. So I very much build it into the video to twist it from being just about World of Warcraft to being an introduction for this person to be like, oh, maybe I want to earn money online, that kind of thing. Which is one reason that they may actually know that, and that's why they subscribe to me. Or they're expecting World of Warcraft content, in which case, they're going to unsubscribe.
Well, and I've heard that the number of subscribers isn't as important as it used to be. That YouTube's more concerned with views, like how many people are viewing and how long they're staying, how engaged they are, and all that.
Yeah, the metric that matters more than anything else is this one right here, audience retention. So one of the reasons, I could just look at this chart and not know what my audience retention is, and I could tell you that it's more than 6 minutes because it's a graph like this. You only see graphs like this when YouTube is pushing your content. And YouTube is only going to be pushing your content if the audience retention rate is high. 4 minutes is normal. So this has double the audience retention rate that's typical. Imagine this was 12 minutes or 15 minutes. Then it would be even more likely to get pushed.
But so they're finding you using a search, but then they're staying on because they're interested enough. You kept it interesting enough. So then YouTube then pushes it because people have watched a lot of the video or all of it.
Yeah. And this boils back to the concept of social proof, which is something that all of these platforms use. YouTube, Skillshare, Udemy. You effectively need to give them a sample size of data in the beginning. And that's why having an audience is so great, because every video I publish, YouTube's going to get a sample size of data because at least 100 people will view it over the first week. So YouTube easily knows, relative to the other videos I publish, which ones are better. They know easily because they see how my audience views it. They get the metrics. And then once they've received those metrics, they can decide to continuously push something. And there's a lot of different, regarding the keyword stuff, that's something you have to do. You can't not do. I don't view it as something that causes this line to happen. That's not because of me effectively using keywords. Keywords should be in your title, your description, and your tags. That's mandatory. They have to be there. That's not why this happened. This happened because I looked at the subject. If you go to YouTube What this video is, it's a guide about how to do something in the video game World of Warcraft. The something is called a tribute run, right? So if I search for WoW Classic tribute run guide, we get a bunch of different videos, right? Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, that's mine, here's another, there's another. These are all videos. And what's really interesting about this subject, and one of the reasons that I was confident that my video would actually gain traction, is just by looking at how many views all of these have. This has 5.1 thousand. This has 50,000. This has 34,000. This has 74,000. Mine already has 1,000. It's a week old. This one has 6,000. This one has 8,000. This one has 8,000. This one has 35,000, 24,000, 4,000. Like, there are not very many videos at all about this subject that don't get watched, which is highly unusual. Because typically, when you look at a subject, you see that a couple videos have almost all of the viewership, and then there's a bunch of videos that have like 0 or no views, right? So this is why I knew that this subject was currently relevant to people and is in demand, because I could see that there's a lot of videos, and you might think that means that there's a lot of competition. And that's true. It does mean these are competitors, but YouTube videos are different because, like, in a competitive scene with a product you're paying for, somebody else getting a purchase means you won't get that purchase. Where on YouTube, someone watching this video doesn't mean they're not going to watch the other video. Me, for example, I watched every single one of these videos before making my own video just to learn about the thing I ended up making the video about. So I wasn't even originally watching these other videos as competitor research to make my video. I was doing it to learn, right? So I was doing literally the same thing that other people learning would do. And that's what showed me that this was an opportunity, and I felt quite confident that if I were to post something, it would gain some traction, right? And so I just wanted to talk about this because it's quite interesting, because theoretically, if I posted this exact video on a YouTube channel with 0 audience, and I was able to get like 30 or 40 people to view the video by posting in places that it's relevant online, you could get this exact same scenario to come up without having the 19,000 subscribers that I have. Because what I effectively understand, like, I can do another real quick breakdown about my YouTube channel. I've made over like 1,200 videos, okay? That being said, my YouTube channel and my audience have been formed by less than 20 videos. It's not about the regularity of your content. That is important for your audience, and it's important for you, but it's important because that inevitably creates a handful of videos that do better than everything else. Like, if I sort all of my videos, and then I sort them by, how do I sort it by most? Wait, what? So I'm trying to show you. I sort all of my videos. Okay, that's not what we want. All videos. What's going on here? Why can I not sort it by? Is it there? I'm trying to sort it by, like, oldest. Here we go. Sort by. Perfect. Date, most popular. There we go. So if I have like over 1,200 videos, right? But look here, this one, 78,000, this one, 54,000, 52,000, 30,000, 32,000, 27. If we keep going down, let's cut it off at 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, 23 of my 1,200 videos represent like 80% of the traction I've gotten on YouTube. And really think about that for a second. And then also think about this example. This is a video where I published something completely irrelevant to my 19,000 subscribers. And it's performing. YouTube, the regularity in content thing is what you need to do, but realistically what's going to happen is a handful of your videos perform very, very, very well. And that's why most of the major YouTube channels create content like this. This was a video that was heavily edited. I can show you the project real quick just so you get overwhelmed by the amount of stuff on the timeline and the images and the screens, and you can conceptualize a bit about the editing that went into this video. This is an example of how a traditional, like, full-time YouTuber would create content. Because the reality is, even if you're making loads of videos, only a few of them are actually going to do well. You don't need to create videos every day if you can be confident that the videos you make are going to do well. And that's why having all this market research, and this is taking forever to load, doing all of this pre-making the video process is so important. You can get yourself, like I was with this video. I knew that when I published this, it would do well. I was confident about that. And I published it, and it did, right? That is just because I knew about the conditions in the market. I knew about the competition. I know about how many people play World of Warcraft and how many people are interested in this kind of stuff. And so that put me in a position to be able to create that content. And now this video alone is enough proof to start a YouTube channel specifically with that kind of content if you were able to produce a video once a week or once every 2 weeks. This channel would grow much more than my YouTube channel grows, right? And you can see, like, look at all this. I can zoom in a bit on this timeline down here. Okay, so these are all things I clipped, sped up, added music to, added icons to, added images, created graphics in like Photoshop and all sorts of other stuff, created thumbnails, created PowerPoints. Like, there was a lot of work that went into this video. But this experience is like, this part is how a typical full-time YouTuber would actually work. They do market research, they figure out what their competition's doing, they figure out something that's trending, they make a video about that thing that's trending. That's exactly what I did. This classic tribute run thing is trending within the world of the people who play this video game. But it really helped me better understand that you can make a lot of growth on YouTube if you can figure out how to make one video that really answers people's questions or problems. That is something that is very relevant for anyone interested in YouTube, and that was what I learned recently.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. So what do you think it was the graphics that brought you most of the audience retention, and just you having the experience too?
Yeah, so basically, there are actually some things that aren't ideal in that video. Like, for example, my Yeti microphone's broken. Like, right now, you guys are hearing just my internal microphone. It's like more tinny and not good. It's just a built-in microphone. This video was recorded with that, and I was used to using my Yeti, and I was like being louder in a way that works well on the Yeti, but it hurts the audio quality of a regular computer. So I screwed up the audio, and I also added music, but the music was so low that you can't actually hear it in the video, and it just sounds like me yelling while I'm listening to headphones, and I don't notice how loud I am. So audio, definitely not ideal, and in that sense, a lot of other things about the video are not ideal. But the main difference between my video and other people's videos is I break the concepts necessary to do the run. Essentially, it's about a part of the game that typically is done with 5 people, but you can do it with 1 if you're a certain class. So it's really challenging and interesting. And most of the other guides are just one recording of them doing it, and they're either talking while they're doing it, or they're showing a clip of them doing it and they're narrating over that after the clip. Does that make sense? So they record the video and then they talk about it. They're watching the video and they're talking about what they did like while it's happening. So it looks like they're talking at the same time as it happening, but they're actually adding the audio commentary after the video is created, which is different than talking about it while you're performing the actions. These are the two styles that all the other videos had. Okay? Just show you exactly what it is. But then you need to watch the whole run. And also a lot of these people are really talented individuals. They do not accurately show what most average World of Warcraft players are able to do. Things that people do in these videos, you do it, and then they make it look easy, but you try and do it, and it just doesn't work, and you fuck up and die over and over again, and it's hard. But for them, it's super easy, and they think it's easy. They don't think about how to teach it to you. So what my video does is it breaks down all of the individual concepts and strategies you need to understand in order to be able to do the run. For example, like imagine you need to cook a cake. You need to understand that yeast is a thing and that it rises and you want bubbles. You need to understand that having a sweet flavor is nice. You need to understand that for icing, it's bad if the icing is super runny, because then it just melts and it doesn't stay on the cake. And it's also bad if it's not runny enough, because then you can't put it onto the cake. You need to have all these concepts in your head in order to actually make a cake, right? So with this video, I broke all those concepts down and I reiterated them. So I would show clips and I would show images. I would be like, when this situation happens, this is what you need to do. Watch it. Okay, now let's watch it again. Okay, now let's watch it a third time. Did you notice how that happened? Okay, think about that. You need to pay attention to that. Look, here is what happens when something goes wrong. This is what you need to do when something goes wrong. Something is going to go wrong. A lot of things are going to go wrong. Here are the things that you can do when things go wrong, right? Like a lot of these kind of trainings, and it really was from the perspective of someone who makes courses, like in my case. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to get traction quickly, is because I knew that in the very beginning of the video, I need to just load it with information and have this person feel overwhelmed, like they need to pause the video and rewatch it in the beginning. And that is a really good way to increase retention, because if you can capture someone's attention for that in that first like minute or two, they're gonna watch for another like 5 or 10 minutes. They're probably not gonna watch the whole video, and that doesn't matter. You don't need to get anybody to watch your whole video. You can regularly have like 10 minutes of content in the end of your video. It doesn't really matter a whole lot, and most people are never going to engage it. It's never going to affect your audience in any way. What really matters is having that audience retention number just be higher. It's not like say that someone's only watching a third of your video and your video is 2 hours long. That's still better than somebody watching 100% of your video, but it's only 6 seconds. Like YouTube basically doesn't care about really short videos. If you're purchasing video, if you're publishing videos that are 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute, it's really hard to gain an audience this way. You can get views, it's more shareable, but it's not enough time for people to relate to you, and it's also not enough total time for the average view duration to get long enough that YouTube's going to consider it a good video. Like YouTube's ability to determine if content is good or not it relies heavily on the video being longer. YouTube essentially isn't able to reliably tell if a video is good if the video is too short, because there's not enough data. So that's just something to keep in mind as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
My mind is blown. So Jack, are you saying like, all right, so I don't have an audience. I have a brand new YouTube channel. If I found the right topic, did the research like you did, and figured out a topic that people are really interested in, that would answer a question that they're not getting answered anywhere else, make a 10-minute video or whatever you think, then I would, it actually could not go viral, but get a lot of views and be a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would I have to try to promote it anywhere to get that to happen?
Depends on what you talk about by promote. Like, yes, you should be placing, because you would need to promote it enough to get that initial batch of social proof.
see.
That's what an audience would normally form. They give that sample size of the data. And what you would do is you would find forums and other places where people are already asking the question or it's relevant to them, and you would share it there. I can give you a quick example, actually. I didn't realize that this is why I grew as a YouTuber, but most of my memories about subscribers are after the 1,000 subscriber point. I have very few memories of having less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that's very different than most people who start YouTube who really struggle to get to 100, and then getting to 1,000 is a big kind of milestone. And I didn't really realize that until talking to more YouTubers. And so I can share something real quick that explains exactly why that happened to me. Where is Zoom? Here it is. Going to share this again. Share the video analytics page. Okay, so I'm going to scroll out for a second. We're going to go back to my YouTube channel. I need to go to my actual YouTube channel, though. Choices. So the main reason that my channel grew, I originally thought it was because of the regularity of my content. I thought it was because I was creating videos over and over and over again about drop shipping. That actually isn't true. If we look at my oldest videos, okay, I have like some private videos. Had a video where I was singing. None of these matter. They're all about video games. They're all private, so they're not actually like viewable on my channel. When my YouTube channel actually really started was here, okay? So before I even started my YouTube channel, if you look at the first 1, 2, or as I started my YouTube channel, let's look at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 videos, right? In the first 12 videos, 3 of those videos were some of my most popular videos of all time. You can see here that the 8th video I did, which is listing 200 to 500 Walmart items on eBay in less than 10 minutes with this specific tool, this has 78,000 views.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, that video is why people know I exist. That video, this one, for example, creating a 38,000 item eBay dropshipping store in less than 8 hours, that is 53,000 views. So within the first week or two, or the first month of me actually starting to make YouTube videos, I coincidentally made 2 videos that led to basically all of my growth regarding dropshipping. Essentially, all of these other videos are basically irrelevant. Even though some, like, look, 200 views, 400 views, 2,000 views, 200, 300, almost all of these don't actually contribute to growth in my audience. These serve as a way for people to get more of those interactions with me and develop their connection with me, but they don't grow my audience. Whereas these 2 videos here caused that to happen. If it wasn't for this video and this video, I wouldn't have become a well-known person in dropshipping anywhere near as quickly as I did. These 2 videos caused that to happen. Everything else was just me not realizing and thinking that, like, because at the time when I was starting, I wasn't looking at the views in this content. I didn't really look at my videos. I was just like, oh, I could make a video about this. I'm going to do it. And like, if you look at this, like, I don't have anything. I'm using an internal setup. I have a webcam like on my laptop, but that's it. I don't have like anything ideal. The dislike ratio is pretty high on this video. But that being said, it was enough to get views. And this is interesting because it solves a problem, but it's very abstract, and I didn't realize what problem I was solving when I made the video. I just knew that if I made a video that's clickbaity, it's like listing 200 to 500 items on eBay in less than 10 minutes. Like back then, that was a big thing. It was like maybe people would take 2 or 3 years to get to a point where they had like 2,000 or 3,000 items in a store, and that was a lot. People were more used to physical stuff. They were more used to like doing title optimization and taking the time with your listings. It wasn't as common to just blast a bunch of listings. And so I knew that I could just show that it's possible, right? It is possible to make a 500 item store in eBay in less than 10 minutes of work. This is how you do it. I'm going to do it in this 9-minute and 15-second video. And at the time, I thought it was clickbaity, right? And that's why I thought it was getting attention. But now I see that what I was actually doing was solving a problem that people had in a very abstract way. And that problem was, it's those people I was complaining about earlier that really want money fast, that aren't going to succeed, that are in a rush and want to just create something now, that are most likely going to fail. I solved a problem in their head of, oh, we don't have to work, we don't have to do this the hard way because we can just do it super fast. The reality is this isn't a solution, but it's a perceived solution, and that was enough, right? And it's the same exact thing with this other video. Like, look, you can make an absurdly large store in a very little amount of time. And it's basically the same video. Where is it? Oh yeah, creating a 38,000 eBay store in less than 8 hours. Okay, so this one's more realistic because it's like, hey, you can make this many items in a store using software in 8 hours. It's possible. Whereas the other one was like, look, technically, I just posted this many thousands of items in 10 minutes. When really, like, I had done a couple hours of work before and after. Right, so it wasn't as like honest necessarily, because it is true that I just took a list, made the list, put it into a software, and that created the store. But that it's a bit misleading to think that it was only 10 minutes of work that led to that happening. It's like the actual part of creating the store. Yeah, that was only 10 minutes, but that's just because I did 10 minutes of work, and then the software tool worked for like 2 days, right? But Rita, as in what you just said, yes, if you were to do research, you could post one video that gained traction, answered a problem, and developed an audience for you. And you're more likely to gain an audience that way than if you just post one average video a day for like 2 months. Although, if that regular posting thing worked, it would be because you inadvertently, accidentally made one of these videos that solves someone's problems.
Right. Well, I'd rather be more efficient. I like that idea, and I think on our next consultation call, I want to get some more specific advice from you on how I could make a video like that. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's tricky. To be honest, like it's... I can't even explain how many hours went into me making that World of Warcraft video, because not only was I doing research, not only was I editing the video and doing all that, but I was playing the game and practicing this for like 2 months before I was even able to do it. So like there was so much. And that's why, again, like this is a video game. This is something I was doing anyway. So like doing this video enabled me to enjoy the game more because it added more value to it, but it didn't feel too much like work. I would like wake up and be like, I want to make that video. I want to see I want to edit it. I felt excited. It was something I was enjoying. Like I couldn't do that if I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't have worked on a video for a month if it wasn't something I was interested in. But I am trying to do that now.
You have to pick something enjoyable.
Yeah. And this is the mentality I'm taking now with my YouTube channel moving forward. Like, I'm still going to occasionally do videos updating about my life, but if you guys have noticed, I've made like 2 videos in the past 2 months, or the past like 40 days, which is the complete opposite of what I used to do. But now I'm really trying to figure out like, okay, how can I make a video that teaches a specific thing and really get into it? And my brain's just starting to comprehend how that process works. But yeah, lots of new thing. I feel like I really understand YouTube now, and I'm in a position where I can help people predict better when they're going to get results and when they're not going to get results. One of the things that was helpful actually was yesterday at this skate event. One of the guys was really interested in running a YouTube channel, and he had a YouTube channel that he was going through, and I was like consulting with him about like how to improve it and that kind of thing. And he kept showing me videos and getting me to watch the videos, and I literally wasn't even like, for me, the content of the video itself is almost irrelevant, because you can just look at the YouTube channel, you can look at how many videos it has, you can look at the titles of the videos, you can look if the subject is similar in between all the videos, you can look at how much time is spent in between each posting, and you can know how a channel is going to perform. You don't actually have to watch the video itself. And it was quite interesting, because that was kind of hard for me to communicate, is that the contents of your video matter, but not necessarily as much as the context of the environment that your video is created in, if that makes sense. But it's super hard to explain that to someone who's brand new to YouTube and doesn't understand this and still thinks that ad revenue is the main way to earn money, you know?
Well, and I certainly think it's, in almost any topic, you're going to have people that are going to go over beginner stuff. That's pretty easy, I would think, to, you know, I mean, I could get a book about dog sitting and just go down the list of, you know, chapters or whatever, you know, something like that to get ideas. And, you know, but I think it's when you really get into the, I mean, that probably worked really well at the beginning of YouTube, you know, but I mean, I feel like when you can, if you want to be competitive, you got to get into the nitty gritty like you've done and get into something very specific. And I mean, gosh, and that people can earn money at. I mean, that's just a whole new level for WoW, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just getting, I guess it's, okay, so here's a question. How do you make videos? All right, so this is going back to course creation and letting people know you have a course and things like that. How do you, I guess, how do you keep it so you're not being redundant? Like, you're not telling a bunch of stuff on the YouTube channel and then you're doing the same thing in the course and people feel ripped off. I mean, is there...
That's more of a fear than anything else. Like, with the course, people will feel ripped off if you copy the YouTube videos. If you create new videos and you teach them with more energy, you put more effort into it, even if it's the same subject and same content as YouTube, it's going to be okay. And like with my dropshipping course, for example, all of the information in my dropshipping course, more information is available on my YouTube channel. But you have to sift through hundreds or thousands of hours of conversations with people, of inconvenient keywording and not knowing where to find stuff in order to find that information. Whereas you can just go to the dropshipping course and it's just all there, or a lot of it's there. People usually aren't bothered by you having free information and you also having a paid form of that information. It's more about how you go about doing it. There's a lot of things like the Amazon box issue. It's a classic example. Same thing in course creation. There's a lot of things that people think are problems, but actually to a course creator or a YouTuber, it's not actually really a problem. It's just something people think is a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just flesh out certain things more in your paid content, I guess.
Yeah, like
I would think.
You talk about everything the same way, but for me, like, the distinction is that YouTube's more casual and it's not as specific. Like, I host these 2-hour live streams and, like, they have a pretty good retention rate. Like, on average, people watch between, like, 11 and 15 minutes, which is definitely better than a regular YouTube video. But they're definitely not getting all the information in the video. Like, no way. Absolutely no way.
Right.
This kind of content is more beneficial for you guys. It's like the people who actually participate in the call, and then the people who are watching can learn as well. But for them, I feel like it's more of a vibe thing. Like, if they want to have 2 hours of people being generally productive and positive, then they'll listen to this while they're doing something else. But they're not necessarily going to absorb all of the information, right?
Yeah, I usually watch them again right after we finish. I don't know why. Or I'm listening. I'm doing other things, but because it's such a I really hope other people will join. It's really a great feeling to be part of it, you know. But I know I suspect some people are worried about their English language skills. That's what I'm guessing. A lot of it is.
Especially in my audience. A significant portion of my audience doesn't speak English.
Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it. But you know, it's worth a try, and you get better as you go along. The more you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you direct your live stream to a specific location for it to start off at? Like I know sometimes you'll be saying like,
no, well, the way it works is you use third-party software to create the live stream, and that software sends the live stream somewhere. Your options are YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, basically. So this live stream gets sent to YouTube. Then everybody who subscribes to me gets a notification, if they've opted into that, saying that I'm live now. And if they go to my YouTube channel, it's at the top. So every live stream starts with me taking my phone, going to my YouTube channel, and clicking on the live stream at the top so that I can see the comments.
Okay.
But it's not, so this is a very unusual circumstance because most people who host live streams are actively interested in the live stream growing as much as possible. Whereas for me, this is more of a training grounds for people. Like, I view it that way. I know that I need to, like, I get something out of it because I get to connect with my audience and other people. But like I said earlier, it's a chance for people to cut the bullshit and literally just practice. Like, a lot of people are just watching videos, they're just talking about things, but they're never actually, you know, getting experience being in content. You guys are doing that by being in here. You are regularly participating and getting experience creating content. Even though it's for another channel, you all are creating content. And that is what I view as the most valuable thing, is to get good at creating content, get comfortable. Everything else is just a matter of time, really.
Good. Thank you. Interesting.
So I think we're
I'm gonna have to
go on.
I'm gonna have to look at your WoW video, see everything you put in there, because we couldn't see the graphics and stuff you were showing on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I just have to.
It was pretty much just imagine, like, so basically what I did with that video is I created a video that had things going on that needed to be explained. And then I re-recorded it and narrated as that video was playing. So there are points where, like, I pause it and it shows the image and I explain, like, okay, you need to understand that these three things are possible. Here's the image of the first one, the second one, and the third one. Okay, cool. Now here's it actually in application. But yeah, check it out. I can't watch it because I'm so bothered by the audio.
So you slowed the process down so that beginners or people that didn't know anything about doing it, could actually learn it without.
Yeah, or they're more likely to. Yeah. But it's funny because
you broke it.
A lot of it is actually, it's broken down, but it's broken down by taking an action and playing it on double speed, like 3 or 4 times in a row, so that you see it over and over again. But like the first time, maybe you don't understand what's happening, but then you see it again, and you see it again, and you see it again. And that's something that I learn better in. Like, as for example with Bray's course, I learn more about a course by listening to it really fast while I'm doing something else 2 or 3 times, because then I'm actually going to really understand like 100% of the course. Whereas, or not 100, but really up there. Whereas if I try and pay attention to something, I can maintain focus on it, but only for like 10 or 15 minutes. After that, I just stop absorbing as much information. So for me, it's much more effective to have a lot of stuff going on and then it just be re-explained over and over again. I learn much better that way than I do just having something be shown to me once. I need to feel familiar. I need to feel like I understand the context, right? So like when I listen to a course the first time, I don't learn much from it, but I know okay, in the beginning, he talked about this. That's one thing. I don't know what it is exactly, but he was talking about it. And then he transitioned to talk about this other problem that I still don't know exactly, but he was talking about it. And then this third part and this fourth part. So I know that in the course, there's these 4 main things that were talked about. And I know that. And I heard some of the words, and I have a list of words I don't know. And then, after the second time, because I have all this insider information now, it's like boom, 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 boom. That's when I really start to get it. But I have to have a framework before I can really activate that part of my brain that's just like, oh, get it, I learn it, I understand it, I can explain it, go, move forward. I have to like really build that comfort before I'm able to learn quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah. And to add on to your case study too, about how it doesn't really matter what video you have or posting, if it matters, if it goes with your channel or not. I've been posting stocks and day trading videos for probably about 2 years or over 2 years. And my biggest videos are my cannabis content videos, which is barely mentioned on my channel or anything at all.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. It just matters if people are interested in your videos or not.
Yeah, and that's an indication that you could create a... Because, okay, I don't want it to be misconstrued here, because it is important that your audience knows what to expect from your channel. So, because like I just talked to you guys about posting a World of Warcraft video on my channel and it getting attention, that is enough market research to show that you could run a channel about that with just that kind of content and earn money from it. But it wouldn't be effective for me to just keep posting videos like that if I wanted to grow my YouTube audience in a predictable way. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
Because really the perfect YouTube channel would do research and publish a video about a specific subject like that once a week, or maybe once every other week. Once a week is ideal. You really want to be once a week or twice a week. I guess once a week's better, but my channel is unique in that I don't run it like a regular YouTuber. It's a way for me to cope with life. It's a way for me to express myself. So I do loads of content. Like, I purposefully post content where I'm incredibly emotional and I'm crying and I'm talking about things that are really hard to talk about, because I know that me doing that makes me much, much stronger. And it puts me in a position where I can talk about anything to anybody without feeling too nervous, without being overwhelmed by my emotions. So for me, my YouTube channel is more like training to become a stronger, more intelligent, more capable person than it is like an actual business that I'm trying to profit from. Even though that is something that's true, but I would say that I use it as a tool to improve myself, and I focus on that more than it being a profitable business, if that makes sense.
True, very true. That's good. Maybe you could do a whole course on that, YouTube therapy.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, it is therapy. Not easy though, definitely. But anyway, guys, I'm sorry it's been like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So anything you guys want to cover real quick before we leave? Any questions from anybody?
I'm good, man.
All right, guys.
Yeah, that was good, great. That's great. Thanks so much, Jack.
No worries. Yeah, today was packed. Lots of information.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Feliz Año Nuevo. Happy New Year.